Thank you, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues of the business community and leaders of civil society. I wasn't expecting such a wonderful introduction, so I was taken aback, but that must be me. I hope everybody enjoyed the lunch, and it's my duty to try to wake you up and awaken your interest in the issue. I will try to start with something that's a bit of a provocation, hopefully, if it works, yes. One of my most successful recent articles was one that bore the title, Against the Circular Economy, or Not. I have a feeling that there is too much talk and too little reflection about the circular economy today. I'm very much in favor of it, but I have to remind everybody, especially my colleagues in the business community, that the circular economy is something systemic, is not something that can be taken on by a single company. And too often companies waste their time and lose their objectives by trying to become circular by themselves, and that's not possible. And another objection that I make to the circular economy evangelists is that circular is the way in which a process works. But you can be circular with slave labor. You can. Or you can be circular by generating losses. However, you cannot be sustainable with slave labor or generating losses. Therefore, I'm very much attached to the idea of sustainability as a more holistic concept. Having said this, I'm very much in favor of an economy which aims to sustainability mostly through circular processes. And that's a very brilliant idea, and that's very much learning from nature, which is a great master, probably the greatest that we can have. Sustainability is a matter of vision, is a matter of leadership, mostly. It needs a vision, a long-term vision and objectives, but it also needs milestones and mid-term objectives, and it needs monitoring, the famous KPIs, and it needs also short-term actions and benefits, because we cannot, in most of our lives, wait too long in order to reap the benefits of a strategy. So we have to have short-term benefits, mid-term benefits, and long-term benefits. And of course it needs alignment and consistency all along the way, which is another thing that sometimes is overlooked. It is also a very important leverage tool, but it also needs leverage from government and authorities, and I've heard a lot of very interesting things, and I'm more hopeful today than I was yesterday, at least for the area or for this nation. But the governments have a long leverage that they can use to make economy more sustainable and help companies to steer towards sustainability through policies, taxes, incentives, prescriptions, how they plan the development of cities and of nations. And again, I've heard many very brilliant ideas this morning from this town and this state, and need investment in education, which is the most important thing to secure a future for humanity. Of course, sustainability in the form of Sustainable Development Goals of the United States and the Agenda 2030 is a very good guideline for development, but apart from objectives, it entails responsibilities, and I want to recommend you attentively that it entails a lot of opportunities. I'm not boring you with numbers today. I need to wake you up, not to make you more asleep than you are after lunch. But the world of sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals are full of opportunities for societies and for business alike. It's also a business necessity, and as I always recommend, sustainability is not about being good, it's about doing good and excellent business too. And just a short quote from a front-runner in sustainability company, which is Unilever. And I think this is a number, of course. I apologize for that, but it's very synthetic. And the fact that such a global company, so a multinational company, today tells us that 60% of their growth comes from their sustainability line products, and the fact that they develop 50% faster than other brands, and they mostly make consumer products that could be susceptible to be very much consumeristic, I think tells a lot, the many business opportunities that lie in sustainability. Now, I would like to engage you in a few questions, because there are some issues that are pretty obvious. How many of you agree that the future of mobility is electrical? Raise your hands, please. Don't be shy. Many of you, okay. So there's a huge consensus about this. But what if this was sustainable mobility? Of course, I'm not recommending reverting back to camel, but why not if you are traveling in the desert? But it's changing the way we think. The future of mobility is looking for the best way to get where we want to go in time, safely, and in the more environmentally friendly way. So this is a different way of thinking. What we want from a service, not what is the best product to buy. Just another example. How many of you agree with me that this is a gold mine? You can take my word, it's a picture of a gold mine. Okay? But is it not another gold mine? These are discarded cell phones, and today it costs less to extract gold from a ton of discarded cell phones than from a ton of golden ore. So again, we are living in a revolutionary time, and we have to think differently than we thought before. And then another question. How many of you agree that this is a power plant, a hydropower plant? Some of you are fearing a trick. Okay? Well, what if this was a power plant? This is a kettle. And there's been a calculation in the United Kingdom that because of a bad habit of people to boil more water than they need for the daily many cups of tea, and an inefficient design of kettles, the energy that is wasted every day would be enough to power the United Kingdom for the whole night. So, is the future of energy a renewable energy? Yes, but the most sustainable kilowatt that we have is the so-called negawatt, is the energy that we don't use because we have improved our projects or the way we satisfy our needs. I hope you are awakening a little bit. So I've been recommended to talk in the context of local development, city development conference, although I'm mostly a business advisor. And I've put together some ideas worth mulling over. And for instance, for those of you who are policymakers, I recommend to you to connect the issues of mobility and development to health costs. Because too many political discourses just turn around GDP, which is, in my opinion, absolutely a meaningless way of measuring the prosperity of a society. And if we think that for the first time in recent history, the life expectancy of people in the United States has become declining, I think we can realize how much a powerful way to deliver sustainability discourse to a population is to tell them what is the health cost of not going sustainable. Another thing for urban planners is it's important that we begin to think of an integration of food production into cities. And there are already many interesting examples around of mushroom farms, greenhouses, and other kinds of urban farms. I myself, I'm an investor in the first, it's a 10 million euro project in Italy of a fully autonomous hydroponic greenhouse in central Italy, which is completely sustainable in many ways. And it has also developed a very good social impact. And it's making food production for big cities feasible and sustainable without a lot of land. Of course, reduce waste from the design of products dematerialize, and especially, as I said before, we have to think about what needs we are addressing through economic activity and not only what kind of stuff we can produce and sell. There are many very important businesses around the world that are thriving because they don't sell stuff anymore. They provide services. And this is a very important trend in our economy. And we exist, we businesses exist in order to satisfy the needs of our customers, not necessarily in order to produce and sell stuff. Support educational partnerships for sustainable innovation. This is very important, and I think that public authorities, governments have a huge power in their hands, which is to foster and to support and to encourage partnerships between universities, research centers, private companies in order to develop innovation. As one who follows what's going on around the world, we are living in dangerous times because climate is changing and life on Earth is threatened for our species. But on the other hand, we are living in an exciting time of innovation. There's a lot going on around the world. But we have to connect, and educational partnerships are very good for that. And of course, as urban planners, encourage innovation in construction, industry and development. And I'm thinking about performance design, of course, forms of efficient design as LEED, or building information modeling, or off-site production. I think afterwards I have a B2B session with some business people, and I will delve more into this issue, but I didn't think this was appropriate to be dealt in this session. And look for unexpected resources. I think we have a distinguished colleague here who is an expert on solid waste. I'm talking about liquid waste. And wastewater is one of the big issues of cities, of course. And this is a very interesting project in the Polytechnic of Lausanne, which has developed a new technology to recover a lot of very important nutrients for agriculture from sludge without drying it up. So there is a raise in efficiency which is enormous, and the water purification is much more efficient, and it can be emitted immediately into surface water circle. So it's very important. It's another example of what innovation can deliver and what can be achieved through collaboration between public institutions and private companies, university. And I think the key word for this era is networking and partnering. I think partnering is the most important thing that we can do in order to join our efforts and go towards a sustainable society and a sustainable economy. I think I'm finished, and if there's time afterwards, of course, I'm available for your questions. Thank you for your attention.
would like right now to invite Mr. Roman and thank you for very interesting
Thank you.
good presentation.